Hey, best friend, how you doing?
I'm great, but I actually want to talk to you about something.
Oh yeah? Are you are
Yeah,
you breaking up with
I
me?
think it's time. I think it's time for us to move on.
That's
uh,
that's how we're gonna
just
do it?
kidding. Just kidding, my friend. Just kidding, my friend. No, I think there's two things in this conversation that we're having before we hit record. There's two different aspects of it. One, it's your friend groups and choosing and how you do that. And two, I'd like to dive into as well after is when you do choose those people, like we've chosen to grow in a relationship very intentionally, and we're committed to one another in a lot of ways. I think beyond just what we're going to talk about, there's also the next level of this of investing deeply in those friends, right? So that's not the first topic. We're going to talk about your friends and potentially having to move on from some, but there's also in my mind the next step that's not enough. Choosing is not enough. Investing is required.
It's good, man. I like that. Um, so this topic came from a conversation that I recently had with an individual who has already transitioned out of the military, and I think this is a common occurrence within transitioning military members. Um, the short backstory is this individual got out of the Navy, trying to figure out next steps in life, career, location, um, purpose, all the things that military transitions think about. Chose to move back to his hometown where he grew up, small town, and started to try and re-engage in old friendships, re-engage in old community. Uh, family was there, parents, siblings. That was all there as a support system, which was one of the reasons why he chose that location. But a year into it, he has found that those friend groups that he kind of went back to um, are stale, and they aren't the friend groups that are going to help him get to where he wants to go. Um, his mindset has changed in a lot of ways. Some of the mindsets of his old friend group haven't changed at all. And they are kind of just keeping him at a place where, like, he kind of needs to move on, but he doesn't feel like he can. He feels bad for that, right? In the same light, like, he's kind of questioning, all right, it's a small town. How do I go find friends that will make me better, that do have similar new growth mindsets, that I can, seek out? He's like, I'm not the one who, like, is the party planner and tries to go find all these friends. Like, what do I do? And so I'll start the conversation there. Kind of curious on your thoughts on that. If you've had a similar conversation or experience in that, because I think we have.
Well, and I'll take the last point first, and that's none of us. I mean, there may be a gifting for certain people to have the gift of organization and party planning and that kind of stuff. I do believe that's a gift. Most of us don't have that, right? That's a gift. It's not something we all share, but it's not an excuse. We all have to get comfortable with the discomfort of putting ourselves out there. And I think that's just an aspect of life that's part of this whole thing that's very challenging. We have to get over the hurdle of, hey man, I'm not really that guy. You have to become that guy. You have to become that guy
That's
because
right.
nobody's that guy,
That's right.
right? And even if you are that guy, there's a good chance that society has told you that being that guy is bad. That you now hey, be an organizer of dude hangouts and friend groups and get in touch with your uh, deeper relational self with other relationally incompetent men. Like no, it just isn't something that we're all like, yeah, man. Like that's my role. That's who I
That's
am, and I do
me.
it really well. Right? Like it's just it just. I mean, some of us, maybe some of us are, but whatever. You have to become that. Um, and I'll tell you, this is a lifelong thing. I'm having this conversation with my youngest, my 7-year old, and it's in the context of I said, "Hey, dude." So he just happens to be a pretty athletic, athletically gifted kid. He naturally just like and
He
dude,
must have got that from his mom.
100%. And you know me and most people that know me, but like I'm not the type of parent that's like um oh my kid is such a good athlete, like put him in the best, like put him like I'm not that parent, right? I'm very realistic about my kids and from an athletic, academic, and I'm realistic with them so that we can identify these things and help them to advance where they choose, where they want to advance or where we believe they need to advance. Like even from a spiritual perspective, like my son Jake is like I would not be surprised if he becomes a pastor, right? Like he's got a heart, a passion, a sweetness about him. He loves Jesus, always has. My daughter loves Jesus very differently, but like we have different kind of conversations, and I see her mind. She's more skeptical, and whereas Jake is like blind faith, like I love you, Jesus. I'm gonna go climb this mountain, and I put it in his hands. I'm like, dude, can you please, like, let's. Okay, I don't know what to say to that. Um, but my youngest, he's probably the most naturally gifted athlete in the family, and he's good. Like, I mean, dude, like freaking hucks a ball. Like our neighbor kid, high school kid, was playing catch with him, and he's like, "Dude, is he in baseball?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, my
we're
pretty
gonna
guy,
get him in
no,
baseball.
no." But like, I mean, like, dude's got an
Yeah,
arm.
he does.
Like I huck the ball at him, he catches it. It's all natural. He doesn't play baseball. He's really good at soccer. And so we're talking about, I'm like, hey, dude, how important is soccer to you? Because he's going through this phase where he's like, I just want to play with my friends. And on pure accident, he's 7. On pure accident, someone asked him to join the team, and the team moved around, and he ended up playing last season with 10-year-olds. And I was super nervous because he's not that big of a kid, but I was super nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I was actually I'm usually not nervous for that stuff, but I thought he was going to get crushed. And dude, he hung in, like he held his own as a 7-year-old amongst 10-year-olds, which is a funny disparity in size
Yeah,
at that
that's a
age.
big difference.
It's a big difference, man. But he's gifted. And not that his friends aren't, but his friends are like on the smaller side and they're not as serious about sports and I'm like, buddy, do you want do you want to get better at soccer? Do you want to be committed to soccer? And it's just a conversation we're having, but the whole point of all that is then you need to surround yourself with the team and those players that will get you to where you want to go. And you already experienced high level soccer, and now you're saying you want to go back, like reverse, like multiple steps. What do you want? And as I'm talking to him about it, I look at that in my own life as an adult. Where do I want to be? Right? Where do I want to be, and who do I want to be? And while it is painful, it can be painful to be like, I just, these this relationship may have run its course. I think that's outside of like marriage and family and your closest friends. I think that's a natural thing. But I would even say, even in marriage, you want to be equally yoked. That's a biblical principle. There's a reason for that, right? And with your best friends, like your best friends should also be the people that they should make you better, not worse. I mean, you're growing together. And Alex Ramosi I listened to something he was talking about, and he's always looking to change his friend group. I thought it was an interesting conversation, but he's like, man, but people that want to grow, they know that, they expect that, and you should expect that a lot of times you're going to be in the transitions, you're going to be lonely, but you have to make an effort to not be lonely, to get into those circles that you want to be a part of. And so I think we we know when we know, but we're just afraid to want a couple things. One, to be lonely. That transition is lonely. I mean, it is. we're afraid to put ourselves out there we're afraid of rejection, right? We see that circle. I mean, I paint it in word pictures of circles. I see that circle I want to be a part of. And I'm afraid to go over there because they might be like, nah, dude, like you don't belong in this circle. Like, go to the other circle. We're afraid of that rejection. But in reality, like, have you in networking and talking to people that we are pursuing to try to be more like, has anybody ever straight up been like, oh, dude, no, like you don't belong here.
Yeah, no.
Like, have you experienced that?
I've not experienced
I've
that. I will say that I have experienced, um, I guess not negative response, but no response maybe. Like, right, like I had mentioned to this individual on the call, like, to your point, like we got to be the guys that go out and intentionally, make the invite, like create the event, open up the space for that opportunity to even take place. And we've done that. We've made the invite to whatever it is, a coffee, a lunch, a hike, a mountain bike ride, and nobody showed up, right? And there was some feeling of rejection in that. Um, but I think that's okay. I think that it's gonna happen, right?
well, and if you're honest, we don't know why somebody didn't show up,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Like we don't know. You never know the reason. We make assumptions also. Um, and I guess what I was saying, not so much inviting people, but like being like, hey, I want to like, do you want to do something? And that person may be like, hey man, I'm super busy or
Yeah.
whatever. But I've never been told like, like
You don't fit in. Yeah. No.
you don't fit in or you're not like no but if you do um if you do experience that then you have to it begs a question like do I want to be part of that,
Yeah. Right.
like do I really want to be part of that, like why are they exclusive, like what are the things, oh no I'm good man, I don't want to be part of that, because this analyzing the rejection is can be very informative too, and I think and sometimes we just aren't. Like if you're a freshman in high school and you're like, man, hey, varsity guys, I just want to be with you guys. I just want to be part of you. And those guys could be like, hey man, you've not earned it. Like, have you been in the gym all summer? Like,
Yeah.
what have you done? Like, there's also an aspect that you have to do something too I'm not saying you earn your friendships or anything like that, but to an extent you do, right?
Sure.
Like if we're completely misaligned with what we find to be of value and I say, hey Stu, I want to hang out with you, and you're like, cool man, like do you want to go outside and play, do you want to go work out, do you want to do this, and I'm like, no, I'm like a video game guy and I kind of want to just watch TV. Okay, well, like it's not going to work, and that's okay. You have to be self-aware enough to be like, why would I want to hang out with Stu if he just wants to go outside, right? Just because I think he's cool because he's missing a tooth and he has dirty facial hair and he smells bad. Like, do I like you just have to analyze it. And I think there's more depth to it, and we give up too quick. And not only do we give up too quick, but we don't assess what's currently around us and if it's where we want to be. And we don't know where we want to go and who can help us get there. Because every time I've reached up for somebody, like I had a conversation yesterday that a guy that runs these groups and it's a high level group and he said, hey man, let's talk and let's discern if this isn't for one of like let's immediately decide and like move on. Like let's not waste each other's time. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that approach. He's like, hey, I would love it if you're a guy that can walk this path with me. But if you're not, like, I want to know quick and like, because I'm busy, you're busy. Like, let's figure it out. And he said, if it's good, then it's good, and I'm all in. If it's not good, then hey, like we can be friends, but it's just not, let's just not waste each other's time. And I appreciated that. And this is a God loving Christian, family guy, but he was just honest and blunt and like, let's walk the path or let's not. Like, let's do this. What do you want to do? I'm like, cool. Yeah, let me look. And I also made a decision. But let me look. Let me see if you're right for me. Let me see if if this is something I want. He's like, yep, I would expect that. Let's go. Giddy up. And the sooner we know it's not right, like, let's talk about it. Or we just keep going. Right. And so I think friendship, you like that way too. Like I look at date, when you're dating, Like if this is someone that you are honestly like, even as a kid, you're like, I could never see marrying this person. Why? Because they're blah, 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 blah. Okay, then why waste your time? Like, why waste your time? Like, just move on. Right. And I think it's okay. It sounds bad, I really don't think it is, man. I think it's worse when we just kind of stay in the same place, we stay stagnant, and we make excuses of why we do that. And I just think your want to is just not enough, or it's not clear enough to drive you to something else, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, one of the other questions that this individual had was, just about the old friend groups, and he's like, have you been in situations where the old friend or a group of friends is just it's time to like kind of, this seems callous, but like cut them loose, right? Like let go of that friendship and kind of let it die, um, because your mindset has changed, or you're seeking something different, or whatever it is. And I was like, dude, more than probably the opposite. Like I feel like I've done that a lot lately, and again, it might sound bad, but um I was just kind of rethinking just some like text change through some old friend groups, one from high school and then one from college, of trying to get back together again and hang out. And um you know one of them was just like, nah, I'm good. They were talking about, hitting the bar and partying it up, and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't drink anymore, and I wake up early and I drink coffee and I go on mountain bike rides at 6 a.m. and I work out, and like all these things that like just aren't in that group anymore, right? And so like I've slowly kind of just let that dwindle and pass away. Um, and I've seeked out these new friendship groups, right? The friendship group that we have created through intentionality of making the invite and saying hello and reaching out to new people, and connecting with people on LinkedIn, and creating the space and the events and the opportunities. And this new friend group that we have is awesome, right? We are the ones that go on a 6 a.m. mountain bike ride and grab some coffee and don't drink and go to bed early and are present with our kids and our families and are always intentional about trying to be better husbands and fathers. And like, it's awesome. And that state, that place has required for me to kind of let go of some of those old friendships. And um, not that they're not
Yeah,
great
but and
people.
I want to make a clarification
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah,
We all are responsible for the decisions we make.
for
All of
sure.
us. I am not responsible. You as my friend, I'm not responsible for your decisions.
For sure.
And so I think it's an important point to highlight all these people from our past that we love and spent time with are all invited to join us in these other things.
Yeah, it's good.
They're all invited to join, right? They have a decision to make too, if they want to come with or not. And so I think it's an important distinction because it's not like I think too many people see their growth as leaving something behind, and you do leave something behind as you grow and you change. You do leave something behind, and that's what, my kid, fifth grade, they start growing and changing.
Yeah.
It's an apt analogy, because you do leave things as you like go through puberty and you change. You leave childhood in certain aspects behind to grow into something else. And even if it's your physical body to grow, you don't want baby fat and, uncoordination your whole life. Like, you don't want that. You want to grow into something else. You want to grow in strength physically, mentally, spiritually is no different. Uh, uh, Educationally is no different. Relationally is no different. We should see it no different. And so I think it's completely appropriate to not feel bad. Like, hey, dude, I'm going to do this thing because I really want this, because I've spent the time to know who I am. I know what I want. I know how there are people that I know who can help me get there. Do you want to come along? And when they say no, that's a decision, dude. You could easily say, hey, you're also choosing to not be with me. And I'm not saying it's tit for tat. Like, I think it's an okay thing just to to move on, right? So I think that perspective is important because too many of us try to take responsibility for other people and their actions, and we then create these stories of, well, man, it's so messed up that I'm now doing this thing. No, it's not. Like they could do it. I don't know. I've never told like somebody from my past, like, hey, dude, uh, you're just not welcome to do this. Like the first step would be like, hey, man, I'm going to do this thing. Do you want to do it? And if they're like, no, I'd rather, drink and do drugs and all this. Okay. Like that's your choice, bro. Like I'm
Yeah.
not, am I expected to go back to the, or am I expected should I start doing drugs and drinking and doing things that are antithetical to what I want to be and who I want to become? No, like that's ridiculous too. Right. And I think it's okay. And then, we were talking about, and I think you fully invest in when you do find those people, you invest in them. It's not enough. It's also very fake to be like, oh, that guy makes $1 million and I want to be like him because I want to make $1 million. Like those people don't want to be with you, and you shouldn't. That's not enough. Like, what about that person? That the virtues and the standards and the way they treat their family, all those things, and maybe they do make $1 million and you want to make $1 million. And that's an aspect of it. You can have that can be part of it, but ultimately, if they're beyond where you want to be and you want to be where they're at and you want their help, man, like you invest in those relationships, you add value because you have something to offer too, right? You have something to offer them. And so you invest in that. You invest in those relationships. So you and I are fully invested in, like, we do things all the time, whether it's fun, taking our family to the movies and Waffle House and whatever, or mountain biking or getting out or our Thursdays off, all these things, we invest time into each other to grow the relationships and to seek out. Um, like it's very, a lot of times on LinkedIn, it's a one-time chat and then you're done. And sometimes it's a lifetime, a lifetime relationship that is a huge blessing. And more often than not, it's a one and done, right? Like being honest, one and done. But
Yeah.
but when you find those deeper, um, more profound relationships and conversations and things, like, dude, lean in, man, invest, put yourself out there. And yes, most of the time it's going to be you can frame it how you want. I don't frame it as I've had a lot of beautiful, amazing, deep conversations from LinkedIn connections. We ended in prayer. I'm like, dude, you're awesome. And then we potentially never talked again or whatever. It didn't diminish the experience or that conversation. But some people, I'm going to coffee tomorrow with Ben Nelson,
Yeah.
awesome guy. He was a LinkedIn connection, right? And we've been friends now it's been going for over a year at this point.
Good stuff, man. It's love the conversation, love the action associated with the conversation. I love the thought behind, the idea of finding new friend groups, maybe letting some old friend groups go. And maybe that's the action that's taken out of this conversation.
Yeah, so it's come full circle. I'm moving on, dude. I found
Mm,
some new friends.
okay.
Maybe when you heal up, nothing like kicking a dude when he's down,
Yeah,
right? Like
seriously.
you're broken clavicle, broken ribs. We can't hang out. I say that, dude. Watch me go for a bike ride and break myself. I'm totally joking. No karma on that one. I hope you get
Yeah,
better
you better
soon.
knock on some wood.
I'm gonna I'm gonna miss our bike rides for the rest of the summer, but uh but you'll get there. You'll
We'll get
get
there.
there.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.
Good stuff.
See ya.
Bye now.